country, and it reduces the capacity to do intelligence and to acquire and smartly assemble intelligence about those targets. So that's hurting our ability to understand what they're doing or what they're intending to do.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, just as a layperson. When you're spying on 320 million Americans, how on earth could you be watching the Russians?
That's the point. But actually, it's even worse than that, though. It's probably on the order of somewhere between 3 and 4.5 billion people around the world.
Sure.
300 plus million U.S. citizens, but the rest of the people in the world too. That's really the thing that's destroying the capacity. I mean, you need to have a rich environment of information that's relevant to assess something that's ongoing or that's impending. And if you don't have that, it becomes very difficult to succeed.
Which is what the globalists want. This is a sabotage plan against this country, in my view. Let's talk to David from Florida. Go ahead. You're on the air. Question for William Binney.
Hey, Mr. Binney, Mr. Jones, I really appreciate you immensely for your contributions to our society. I just wanted to mention that we've got Russia on the west, really intensifying in Archangelsk, where they put together a large part of their revenue to develop the largest world's oil platform to go into the Bering Sea and the Antarctic. And let's face it, the Antarctic has the largest troves of oil and gas, on the planet. And we've got to back up a little bit because we know that Hitler and the whole World War II was put together in a deal because it was all CIA-based, and we put all
I understand, but specifically, what is your question for the guest?
My question is this. We put together all of those Nazis into a place called Little America 4 in Antarctic. And I just want to know what you think the outcome is going to be, because the end game, I think, is actually that the Russians, when the end game comes, they're going for Antarctica because...
Well, they've said they're getting ready to go for it. I got to go because we have limited time. These are specific questions for Mr. Binney. You did join the intelligence professionals earlier last week, I know. I'm looking for the article, and basically came out and said that ex-NSA director, U.S. intelligence veterans write open letter to Merkel to avoid all-out Ukraine war. What is your take on Ukraine and Russia, sir?
It looks like the Russians are playing a saber-rattling game. It's not really an invasion. I mean, if you had an invasion like I was involved in analyzing all the invasion of Czechoslovakia and in Afghanistan, if you're preparing to have an invasion or you're going to have something, then you've got to be there with a lot, in the case of Ukraine anyway, with a lot more in terms of capabilities, in terms of personnel and equipment. I mean, you can't just do it with the few tens of thousands they have. So the point is, it's not really an invasion. What they're doing is playing games along the border and saber rattling. Now, the point is, I tend to agree with the president here that this needs to be solved diplomatically. And I believe that that's the correct route rather than try to go to confrontation. I mean, I don't think the Russians feel very threatened by the expansion of NATO.
No kidding.
And I would say, well, okay, fine. If you look at it from their perspective, they have some concerns. Well, okay, why don't we invite them into NATO? Why don't we get all of us together in a mutual defense treaty?
Instead of always fighting with each other. Well,
instead of fighting with each other and looking and acting like they are really a threat, why don't we include them instead of excluding them?
Here's another question from Mike Headsroom on Twitter. He wants to ask you, Mr. Binney, has the NSA managed to break SSL? What is your preferred encryption algorithm?
I don't believe any commercially available encryption system is necessarily safe.
Of course, yeah.
Simply because of the back doors and the weakening that the NSA has done through a Bull Run program that's been part of the Snowden exposure. They had the Bull Run program to weaken all the encryption systems. That simply meant to give them weaknesses in the keys or in the way keys are generated.
Well, don't they just pressure the developers to give them back doors?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's how they get it. And my point is that you can take some very simple, you could use whatever is commercially available as a kind of a community cipher that you could use. But underneath that, you have to come up with some variation of your own. so that when they go through assuming that they have the right keys and everything when they're breaking all these things, they end up with a mess.
Wow.
So that it's basically layers of complexity is what I'm and one of those layers can be a very simple thing, like you simply take the binary stream of a text that you're trying to encrypt and just transpose the bits in a pattern. And that destroys the integrity of the text. So that even if they have the correct key coming through the different layers of encryption for you, they still end up with that transposed mess, and they can't recognize it. So that's one way of that I had proposed of defeating bulk or the brute force attack on a system, just assuming a whole trillions of keys and going through keys and trying them to see if you get any partial text. Well, in that case, if you do that bit transposition, that destroys the integrity, so that any partial text you would get under any key assumption under that brute force attack would be absolutely wrong.
Amazing. Stay there. This is incredible. We have more questions straight ahead. How secure is Black Phone and more. Stay with us.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
That's the sound of your door being kicked in by an intruder with a single kick. Criminals know that your wooden door frames are weak and your alarm system can't keep them out. That's the sound of the same door now protected by the Door Sentinel. Standard locks, deadbolts, and alarm systems can't prevent forced entry. Harden your door and door jamb with a Door Sentinel. Protect your home now at MySafeDoor.com. Go to MySafeDoor.com for a special limited time offer. The Door Sentinel, your home's first line of defense.
Open your eyes. It's time to give your eyes a powerful nutritional boost. Sight is the primary input to the brain, arguably making eyesight the most important sense we have. And just like the other important organs in our bodies, our eyes function at peak levels when they are fed the proper amounts of essential nutrition. Open your eyes. Combining key ingredients like vitamin A, zinc, lutein, proprietary saffron bulb extracts, and more, OcuPower by InfoWars Life is the new formulation specifically designed to nutritionally assist the natural function of healthy eyes. Optimize the natural power of your eyes with the latest addition to the super high-quality InfoWars Life formulations, OcuPower. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to order OcuPower or call 1-888-253-3139. OcuPower. Open your eyes.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes. By calling now, you can whiten your teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking. The Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is available by responding to this advertisement. If lines are busy, try again. Because the Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is exclusive, it's not available in drugstores. Power Swabs was formulated by Dr. Martin Ginniger and whitens teeth with a patented tooth detergent and whitening agent. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. Get it risk-free. Dial 1-800-281-6805. That's 1-800-281-6805. Transform your smile into a wow, you look great smile. Dial 1-800-281-6805. That's 1-800-281-6805.
All right, final segment in the full broadcast. Mr. Benny's agreed to do 5 more minutes with us into overdrive to finish these phone calls. Tyler, Lance, Melissa, C, Lee, and others that are holding. I got a bunch of questions that have come in at Real Alex Jones on Twitter, but look at this CNET News headline. Robot couch can drive you to the fridge and back, as if this country isn't already obese enough. Next, they're going to have toilets in the couch, like Idiocracy. People need to really wake up and stop just going along to get along. And just because the majority of folks want to be decadent slobs doesn't mean the rest of us have to be slaves to this. William Benny, top NSA whistleblower, is our guest. Truth, Justice, Liberty on Twitter, handle Occupy Earth Now. says, do you know anything about Israel having direct access to NSA data? I know some of the phone company caller ID systems do go back to Israel, and then that goes back to the infiltration via contractors by other governments. William Binney?
There are, of course, international relationships, and of course that's been published again by the Snowden material that they have relationships with Israel. But in general, any exchange of information between any of those parties is done separately. It's not. No one has free access to one another's databases. But those things are held kind of privately. If they want to share something, they put it off on a separate data set so that they can access that. So it's not. They don't have direct access.
Sure. We just saw the hack of the Apple Cloud. I wonder if there's been hacks of the CIA or NSA that we don't know about.
Well, supposedly they have a closed network. You know, that's what NSA claims they have, and I think for the most part they do. But you know, it's really, I mean, how many things are certain in this life? You know, that's the problem. They have very bad documentation of their network. In other words, one of the main things you have to do to ensure cybersecurity is you've got to have good documentation of your network. And that will tell you how people could access any of your components inside your system. And then you need to define what you want to protect, and then you surround and build within your system a protection system, you know, covering that. But those are two things that most NSA agencies in the U.S. government do not have. They don't have a good set of documentation on their network.
Sure. Plus, a lot of the chips.
Don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, They have designed it that they wanted it closed. Now, whether it effectively is another question, okay?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I can't really say for sure what is and what isn't there.
Tyler in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey there, gentlemen. I had a question for Mr. Binney, and obviously I have probably a million questions I could talk to him.
It's fine. Go ahead and throw your question out.
Most important thing, but the anniversary coming up of 9/11, I think that we need to look into what's going on with the continuity of government. And I'd like to know Mr. Binney's opinion.
Sure. What about coup d'etat by COG, kind of a reverse Valkyrie? We know that FEMA and others have basically set up their own governing system in the name of COG, but then that can be used to have a coup against the people.
Well, I, of course, would certainly not hope that would never happen. I mean, you have to do, of course, you have to have ways and means of protecting yourself. That's for sure. I mean, and I believe that for example, the Congress has a police force that guards them, which, in case of CIA, if they really wanted to do something that I don't think would be effectively an effective deterrent. But most of the people I know in CIA or any of these other organizations, at least the people at the working level, would never tolerate any kind of move like that. I mean, these people are really, most of them are very dedicated, honest, patriotic people. They would never do that.
Exactly.
Like that.
They're compartmentalized, though.
Yeah, it's the management of these agencies is a real problem.
Absolutely. How do we deal with that? We're going to come back in 1 minute in overdrive. William Binney.
You are listening
ExposeFacts.org is the whistleblower website with he and other hero whistleblowers. William Binney, ExposeFacts.org. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. Most people know that iodine deficiency has been a crisis around the world. Iodine is key to so many of the body's functions, especially the thyroid. I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group. You now know it as Survival Shield, true nascent iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating, and the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.